So you're a founder, you're building something deep in the tech world, and you've probably heard these whispers about grant funding, right? It gets talked about like it's this magic pot of gold, non-dilutive capital that just appears. But for most of us, it's a total black box. Well, today we're going to pry that box open and demystify the whole journey, from that first application all the way to building a real strategic advantage. And this is always the first question that pops into your head, isn't it? Is this free money? I mean, it sounds way too good to be true. Capital that doesn't cost you a single percentage point of your company? Come on. Which, of course, leads you to the next, much more practical question. We've all heard the horror stories about these 100-page applications. So is the prize at the end of the rainbow really worth climbing that mountain of paperwork? But let's be honest, this is the one that really gets to the heart of it. Can you actually take this funding and use it to build a valuable, defensible company? Can you get that critical head start without giving up a huge chunk of control right at the beginning? Well, the answer to all of that is a huge, resounding yes. You absolutely can. But, and this is a big but, it's not about getting lucky. Winning a grant isn't like hitting the lottery. It's a skill. It's all about being able to communicate your vision with such crystal clear clarity that the reviewers stop seeing you as a risk and start seeing you as a smart investment in the future. All right, so let's start right at square one. How do you actually build an application that gets a yes? Turns out it really boils down to just a few core ideas. Here's the key thing to get. You're not just filling out a form. You are having a conversation with the reviewer, so you have to get inside their head. First, you've got to prove you understand their mission, not just your own. Second, be ruthless with clarity. No jargon. Explain what you're building like you're talking to a smart friend. Third, you need proof. Demos, data, a prototype, anything that makes your plan feel real and inevitable. Fourth, that budget, it's not just a list of numbers. It's a test to see if you're a serious operator who's thought this through. And finally, you have to connect the dots. Show them exactly how your little piece of tech creates a big, meaningful impact. And this right here just nails it. This is probably the most important pillar of all. Forget words like revolutionary or paradigm shifting. They mean nothing. Instead, say your tech cuts energy use by 30%. Say it reduces manual labor by half. Be specific. Be measurable. Because clarity is what builds trust and confidence. Now let's talk about 3 super simple rules that can literally make or break your application. First, and I'm not kidding, follow every single guideline to the letter. Font size, margins, page count, all of it. You do not want to get tossed out on a silly technicality. Second, get feedback, and get it from 2 kinds of people: an expert in your field who gets the tech and a total outsider who can tell you when you're being unclear. And third, and this is a big one, expect rejection. It's just part of the game. The founders who ultimately win are the ones who take that feedback, learn from it, and come back even stronger. Okay, let's move on. Imagine you did it. You got the email. You won. The money is coming. Pop the champagne. Okay, now the real work begins. And this is the fundamental tension you have to manage from day one. Your startup DNA is screaming at you. Move fast, iterate, pivot. But grant compliance is a whole different world. It's all about being responsible, trackable, and sticking to the plan. You can't just decide to move money from the R&D bucket to marketing. Every single dollar has to be accounted for, exactly as you promised. And, that's why it's so important to reframe how you think about all that reporting. It's not just a chore to get through, it's a discipline. It forces you to be honest about your own progress, and every good report you submit builds your credibility with that funding agency. And trust me, that credibility is gold down the road. This is so, so important. You have to tattoo this on your brain. A grant is an amazing tool to help you de-risk the hard tech problems. It is not a replacement for a business model. You have to use the funding to get to market validation faster, not to hide from it. Never, ever stop talking to your customers. Okay, now we're getting to the really powerful stuff. How do you turn a one-time grant win into a long-term, defensible moat around your entire company? So check this out. Your grant milestones, they shouldn't just be checkboxes on a project plan. They should be triggers for your IP strategy. Look at how this works. You hit milestone 1, developing that new control system, boom, you immediately file a patent. Then you hit milestone 2, you refine an AI technique, boom, another patent filing. You're creating this constant rolling pipeline of valuable intellectual property, and the best part is, it's all funded with non-dilutive capital. So beyond patents, what else can you do? Well, there are three key moves. First, build a real relationship with the funding agency. Don't treat them like a bank, treat them like a long-term partner. Second, use all the data and results from your grant work to make your go-to-market strategy razor sharp. And third, get smart about stacking. You can combine that grant with other tools like SBIRs or R&D partnerships to stretch your runway and your advantage even further. All right, let's wrap this up by talking about what not to do. Because winning a grant is incredible, but it does come with a few hidden traps that can totally derail a promising startup if you're not careful. We see these three traps all the time. First, and this is the most dangerous, you start building for the grant, not for the customer. The grant's deliverables become your North Star, and you lose sight of the market. Second, you fall into the over-engineering trap. Just because you have the money, you're tempted to add all these bells and whistles that nobody actually asked for. You've got to stay lean. And third, you forget that grants are a launch pad, not a forever plan. You have to be building a real self-sufficient business. So here's the big takeaway. Think of grant funding as a strategic springboard. It's a tool that can launch you over the riskiest parts of your journey. Use it to get to those massive inflection points, provable tech, strong patents, and a real product, faster and with way more of your company still in your hands. And I just want to leave you with this final thought. You know, the startup world is obsessed with speed. Speed, speed. But what grant funding really gives you is a rare gift. It gives you the breathing room to not just build fast, but to build right, to build something solid, defensible, and truly valuable.